Alright kids, we're going to go ahead and roll through these last few examples. The next one, number 7, is a trapezoid. And remember, the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the base, times the height, and then base 1 plus base 2. So that being said, when I look at this particular trapezoid, the base 1 and base 2, it doesn't really matter which one you deem as base 1 and base 2, but what I do need to know is that they are the parallel sides. Your height happens to be outside the outside the trapezoid. That is the same as the height inside the trapezoid, so the area equals 1/2. The height is 28 times the sum of the bases, which is 12 plus 24. So putting that all in my calculator, I know that the area of this particular trapezoid is 504 square yards. In this next problem, it is also a trapezoid. However, if you look at this trapezoid, I don't have the height. It is an isosceles trapezoid. That doesn't really matter. But what I'm going to do here is I am going to take a triangle from the side. Now, the problem with this triangle is that I don't know what, I know that this is 10. I don't know what this height is right here. Well, what you have to think about is I'm going to slice it here and here. And because this is 7, 19 minus 7 gives us 12. And then 12 divided by 2 gives us 6. So that tells me that both of those little parts right there are both 6, and that middle part is 7. So when I am using this right triangle to find the height, I am going to use this base as 6. This is a 3, 4, 5 triangle, if you remember those. So I know that this would be 8, but if you don't remember that or you don't recognize that, h squared plus 6 squared equals 10 squared, h squared equals 64, and h equals 8. So then we're going to go ahead and do the area of the trapezoid. The area of the trapezoid is going to be 1/2 the height, which we found to be 8, and then the sum of the bases, 19 plus 7. So our total area here is 104 centimeters squared. Moving on to number 10. Number 10 is a circle, so remember the area of a circle is always pi r squared. Notice that we are given the diameter, it's the distance all the way across, is 8.2. To find the radius, I'm just going to take that 8.2 divided by 2, and the radius is 4.1. When I find the area of a circle, pi times 4.1 squared, what we call the exact area here would be 16.81 pi, because that 4.1 squared is going to give you 16.81, and it's exact because we did not multiply by pi, which is automatically going to make my number an irrational number, since pi is an irrational number. So when I multiply that out, my approximate answer is 52.81 centimeters squared. In number 11, I believe that's supposed to be 17, maybe 13, maybe 12, I don't know. We'll go with 17. So my radius here, and maybe it's not even that, I don't know. We're going to go with 17 because why not? So my radius here is 17. Notice this is a half a circle. So in order to find it, I'm going to do area equals 1/2 of your pi times r squared. So the 1/2 times 17 squared is going to give you 144.5 pi. The 1/2, and again, that's the 1/2 times 17 squared. When I multiply by that pi, it approximates my area to be 453.96 feet squared. That one's a little hard to read. So because that's just a half a circle, I'm going to cut it in half. It doesn't matter if you find the area and then multiply by 1/2 or find the area then divide by 2. Either way, you'll get the same answer. Okay, so if you notice on number 12, it asks us to find the missing length. It gives you the area and asks you to find the missing length. So I have a triangle right here, and notice that my question mark is that height. The area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Because the area here is 26.8 equals 1/2. My base is 10.3, and I don't know the height. So 0.5 times that 10.3, 26.8 equals, this right here gives us 5.15. Divide by that 5.15 to find out that the height in this case of our triangle is about 5.2, and that would be miles. I did approximate that. It's 2.0, so I did approximate that, and I would expect you to do the same thing in this case. In the next question, we're actually given a trapezoid that we are supposed to find the top base. I don't have that parallel side right there. So again, I know that the area equals 1/2 the height and then the sum of the bases. I'm going to fill in what I know into that equation, and I really, truly encourage you on each and every one of these problems to write down the formula that you need. I will tell you that over the years, I have seen more students miss silly things because they do not write that formula down. Please trust me when I say write down the formula. So I'm going to plug in what I know. I plugged in the area. I plugged in the height is 4.4. I don't know the first base, and the second base is 10.5. So the first thing I'm going to do is say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and multiply the half times the 4.4. So I have 29.5 equals, that gives us 2.2 times b plus 10.5. You have a couple options at this point. If you wanted to, you could distribute that 2.2. I'm actually going to choose to divide by the 2.2 first. When I do 29.5 divided by 2.2, I'm going to end up rounding that. Whether that's the best decision or not, that's kind of up to you. You're going to round that to, it's going to give you, and I know there's not a lot of room here, 13.41 equals b plus the 10.5. And so when you subtract that 10.5, you end up with your b value, which is approximately, in this case, because we did round, b is approximately 2.91. Again, you could have distributed. I know most of you know what that looks like. You could have distributed and had 29.5 equals 2.2b. Plus, when I multiply that 10.5 times that 2.2, so again, this is if you distributed, you would have gotten plus 23.1. When you solve here, you end up with 6.4 equals 2.2b. And when I divide that 6.4, I'm still going to get the same thing. It's going to be 2.909090, which approximates is the same as that one was down here. In question number, I'm getting out of the screen there. In question number 14, it asks you, it says the height of the triangle is 5 centimeters more than its base. The area of the triangle is 52 centimeters squared. Find the base and the height. So I have to look at this as, all right, well, what do I know about the base? What do I know about the height? It tells me the height is 5 centimeters more than its base. So that tells me height is 5 more than its base, so b plus 5. Keeping that in mind, area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. I'm going to fill in what I know. I know the area is 52. So 52 equals 1/2 times, here's the thing, is that I know that the height is b plus 5. So I'm going to keep b as it is, and I'm going to multiply that second one by, instead of h, I'm going to make that b plus 5. So when I multiply, I'm going to have 52 equals that 1/2, but instead, actually, of that 52, I'm going to multiply, and I know I already wrote it, but I'm going to actually multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of that 1/2. So on this side, when I have the 52 times 2, that gives me 104. That cancels those 1/2 and the 2 out on this side, so it just leaves me with b times the b plus 5. This is shaping up to be a quadratic, so those of you who are taking Algebra 2 right now, you should be an expert in doing these. Those of you who are not, this is a recall back to Algebra 1. When I distribute, I end up with b squared plus 5b equals 104. In order to solve a quadratic, you need to get that by itself. You need to get I'm sorry, not by itself. You need to get that 104 that's by itself over. So I'm going to subtract 104 over. I have b squared plus 5b minus 104 equals 0. You have a couple options as far as how you can solve this. Okay, so there are a couple different ways that you can do this. The first way that you can do this is you could factor. I don't know how good your factoring skills are. I will show you in a second what it does factor to. But the first thing I'm going to do is just the quadratic formula. So in this case, b equals, or x equals, the opposite of b, which is -5, because remember, a quadratic is ax squared. Can you see that? You cannot, sorry. A quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So I'm going to do the opposite of b, so that's my 5 value, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's 5 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, this is 1 right here, times times c, which is -104. The quadratic formula is all over the value of 2 times a, which is 1. So this right here gives you b equals -5 plus or minus the square root. Inside here, it gives you 441 over 2. The square root of 441 is actually a nice number, which is 21. So I'm going to end up with b equals -5 plus 21 over 2, and b equals -5 minus 21 over 2. This answer right here gives us 8. This answer right here gives us -13. Remember, you're looking for the base and the height of the triangle. So therefore, I can't have a negative base, so that -13 is gone. And my answer would be that the base, and I gotta slide that paper over again, sorry, the base equals 8, which means the height is 8 plus 5, so the height is 13. So I've got a height of 13 and a base of 8. This last question, we don't have a whole lot of time for left on the video, so what I'm going to do is pause it. I'd like you to try it on your own and then check your work. Okay, so for a real quick explanation here, we were told that the base of the parallelogram is twice the height, so b equals 2h. Remember, the area of a parallelogram is base times height. The area is 72. I'm going to replace the base with 2h, so I have 2h times h. 72 equals 2h squared. Divide both sides by 2, square root them. The square root of 36 is 6 and negative 6. 6 has to be your height. You can't have a negative height, which means that the height of the parallelogram is 6 and the base is 12. If you have any questions about these, I will be happy to answer them on Wednesday. I know some of them are more difficult, but there's no reason we can't do it. Have a great day.